Ethan Patel was having one of those days where nothing seemed to go right. His coffee had spilled on his shirt during the morning commute, his smartwatch had died mid-run, and to top it all off, he was late for work. The elevator ride up to the 42nd floor of Heart Innovations, the tech company he worked at, was cramped with people, each immersed in their own world of phones and earbuds. Ethan, as usual, felt like a small gear in a massive machine. Ethan's work at Heart Innovations was important, though no one outside the office really knew it. He was part of the team maintaining Aura, an AI system designed to help companies optimize their processes. To most people, it was just a smart assistant. But to Ethan and his team, Aura was a marvel, constantly learning, adapting, and sometimes behaving in ways that even its creators didn't expect. He had always been careful with his life, balancing work, hobbies, and social connections with a strict schedule. But today, something small and silly changed everything. During lunch, Ethan pulled out his phone and opened a new dating app he had downloaded on a whim. "Maybe I'll meet someone fun," he muttered under his breath, swiping absent-mindedly. He wasn't looking for love or anything serious. Honestly, he just wanted a distraction from coding and debugging AI models all day. He swiped left, 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 and then, without thinking, he swiped right. Immediately, his phone buzzed. "It's a match," the app flashed. Ethan chuckled. Matches weren't exactly rare, but he liked to pretend they were special. He tapped the screen, curious to see who this new match could be. And then he froze. The profile picture was Dr. Celia Hart. Celia Hart, his CEO. The woman whose name was on every major project, whose vision shaped the entire company, whose reputation for brilliance and strictness preceded her wherever she went. Ethan's stomach sank. This had to be a glitch, he thought. No way could this happen. Before he could close the app, a message popped up. Bold, simple, and terrifying. "You're fired tomorrow." Ethan blinked. Twice. 3 times. He tapped the message carefully, convinced he was hallucinating. Nothing changed. The words stayed there, blinking on the screen, mocking him. He tried to breathe normally, telling himself it was a joke. Maybe it was one of those prank accounts. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Something about it, the timing, the wording, the way it came immediately after his match, felt deliberate. He had to think. Slowly, carefully. First, panic. Then, logic. If this was a joke, it was a very elaborate one. If it wasn't, well, he had bigger problems. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could he say? "Hello, CEO. I think we matched by mistake?" That sounded ridiculous. "Please don't fire me. I swear I'm a good worker." Worse. Ethan set his phone down and leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. He could hear the hum of computers in the office, the occasional murmur of colleagues, the quiet click of keyboards. Everything seemed normal. Nothing hinted that the woman who had just matched with him was walking the same office floor he sat on. And yet, the threat felt real. The day passed in a blur. Ethan couldn't focus on debugging Aura or checking the logs for errors. Every few minutes, his phone vibrated, and he almost jumped out of his seat. Lunch came and went. Meetings happened. Emails piled up. But all he could think about was that one terrifying message. By mid-afternoon, Ethan realized he couldn't ignore it any longer. He had to respond. Carefully, cautiously. He typed, deleted, typed again, and finally sent. "Is this a joke? Because I don't think it's funny." Almost immediately, a reply came. "Not a joke. You'll understand soon." The brevity of the message made Ethan's heart race. She didn't explain. She didn't give him reassurance. Just mystery. After work, Ethan wandered the office floor, pretending to check on servers while actually thinking. He tried to understand why Celia would contact him through a dating app. Was it an experiment? Some bizarre leadership test? He had heard rumors about her unconventional management style. But this was on another level entirely. That night, Ethan stayed late, working on a minor AI bug just to distract himself. His colleagues had gone home. The office lights cast long shadows, and the hum of the machines sounded louder than usual. Aura's screen flickered, then displayed a simple message. Good humans can solve problems no AI can. Can you? Ethan froze. This wasn't normal. Aura didn't usually speak in riddles. And yet, the timing matched the message from Celia. He realized that something was happening, a connection between the app, the AI, and perhaps the CEO herself. Curiosity mixed with fear. Ethan knew he was standing at the edge of something big, something that could either ruin him or elevate him beyond anything he had imagined. He decided to take a small, cautious step. He typed back to Celia, "I don't know what this is, but I'm willing to try. What do you want me to do?" The reply came almost instantly. "Meet me in the AI lab. Midnight. Come alone." Ethan blinked. Midnight? The AI lab was restricted after hours. Only senior staff and select engineers had clearance. Yet, there it was. An invitation, no. A challenge from the most intimidating person he had ever met. He spent the next hour going over the lab's layout, the security systems, and the AI's latest updates. Every scenario seemed more impossible than the last. But he couldn't stop thinking. This wasn't just about a job anymore. This was a test, a puzzle, a chance to prove something to the CEO, and maybe even to himself. When the clock finally hit midnight, Ethan slipped out of his small apartment, careful not to wake his neighbors. The city was quiet, almost eerily so. The streets glowed under the neon lights, reflecting off wet pavement from an earlier rain. He arrived at the building, swiping his access card and holding his breath as the doors slid open. The elevator ride up was silent. Ethan rehearsed what he would say, what he would do, how he would explain himself. But deep down, he knew there were no explanations ready for this situation. When he reached the lab, he paused at the door. Inside, the machines hummed. Screens lit up with graphs, and codes scrolling endlessly. And there, standing in the center of it all, was Celia Hart. She looked nothing like the CEO from the public conferences or the stiff meetings. Here, in the dim glow of the lab, she seemed human, curious, expectant, almost playful. "Ethan," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I see you got my message." "Yes," he replied, trying to steady his shaking hands. I didn't know what to do. I still don't." Celia smiled, a small, knowing smile. "That's the point. Most people would panic, freeze, or run. You came. That matters." Ethan blinked. "Came? Here? At midnight?" "Yes," she said. "This isn't about firing you. Not yet. This is about seeing if you can handle the unexpected. If you can think, adapt, and solve problems that even the AI struggles with." Ethan felt a rush of relief mixed with anxiety. So, he wasn't fired. At least not immediately. But the challenge had begun. Celia gestured toward a console. "The AI has been testing you indirectly all day. Through messages, through glitches, through the app. Now, you get a real challenge. Are you ready?" Ethan swallowed hard. I think so." "Good," she said. "Because nothing in this company or in life comes easy. And sometimes, the humans who survive are the ones the AI never expected." For the first time that day, Ethan felt a spark of excitement. Fear still lingered. But so did possibility. Whatever was coming, he would face it. And maybe, just maybe, he could prove that humans were still a force to be reckoned with, even in a world dominated by AI. And with that, the first step of an extraordinary journey began. Ethan sat down at the console in the AI lab, feeling the cool hum of machinery all around him. The lights of the room reflected off the polished metal surfaces, and the soft glow of screens bathed the space in a futuristic blue. Every monitor displayed lines of scrolling code, graphs, and holographic charts. AURA, the company's advanced AI, seemed alive, observing silently. Celia stood beside him, her arms crossed, watching Ethan carefully. "Don't be intimidated," she said. "You don't need to know everything. Just notice patterns, make decisions, and trust yourself." Ethan nodded, though his hands trembled slightly. This wasn't like debugging a program from home. This wasn't just about fixing a bug or writing clean code. This was something new, something alive. He took a deep breath and touched the console. Immediately, a holographic interface appeared in front of him. Shapes and symbols floated in the air, rotating slowly. Numbers appeared, then disappeared. Aura's digital voice echoed around the room. "Welcome, Ethan. Humans are unpredictable. Can you prove your worth?" Ethan swallowed. "Okay, I'll try." Celia gave him a small nod and stepped back. "You're not alone in this. But remember, the AI is testing your ability to adapt. Think outside the box. The solution won't always be obvious." The first challenge was simple at first glance. A grid of floating blocks, each with a number. Ethan needed to arrange them in a sequence that would allow a virtual energy flow from one side of the grid to the other. The numbers didn't follow a normal pattern. Some repeated, some skipped, and some seemed random. He started by trying the obvious solutions, moving the blocks according to simple logic. The blocks resisted, snapping back when he tried incorrect patterns. He frowned. This wasn't just a puzzle, it was a test of observation. Ethan looked closer. The numbers had subtle hints embedded in their colors. He noticed that red blocks always increased by one step in the next column, while blue blocks decreased. "This is like a game," Ethan muttered under his breath. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. He had lost track of time. The AI lab's clocks didn't seem to matter here. Each attempt reshaped the puzzle, each failure teaching him something new. He began to understand the logic of the AI, not just numbers, but behavior, patterns, and tendencies. "Notice how it reacts," Celia's voice came from the side. "The AI learns from mistakes, just like you. But it's still limited. Humans can see connections that machines cannot." Ethan realized she was right. The puzzle wasn't just about numbers, it was about intuition. He paused and looked at the grid differently. Instead of trying to force the blocks into a fixed order, he started predicting how they would move based on past attempts. Slowly, carefully, he shifted blocks, and the energy flow completed. Aura's voice echoed again. "First task complete. Observation and adaptation proven. Continue." Ethan exhaled, a mixture of relief and excitement washing over him. "That wasn't so bad," he whispered. "Don't get too confident," Celia said, smiling faintly. "The next one will be harder." The second challenge appeared immediately. A 3D map of the company's building floated in the air. Lights blinked on certain floors, indicating virtual crises. Each represented a problem the AI had predicted might happen in real life. Ethan's task was to assign virtual teams to solve each problem efficiently. But there was a twist. Each team could only handle certain tasks, and each assignment affected the AI's prediction algorithm. Ethan felt a rush of excitement. This was like a combination of strategy games he loved and real-world problem-solving. He studied the map, noting the limitations. Some teams could move quickly but were less efficient at solving complex tasks. Others were slow but highly accurate. He started assigning them carefully, keeping track of how each decision changed the virtual outcomes. After a tense hour, Ethan had arranged the teams. Aura's voice came again. Simulation running, analyzing. The holographic map lit up in green, indicating success. Ethan's heart raced. He had done it. Any clue? "You're improving fast," Celia said, her eyes shining with approval. "Most humans would fail at this stage. They get overwhelmed by the AI's complexity. But you adapt." Ethan felt a small sense of pride. For the first time, he realized that maybe this wasn't about fear or punishment. Maybe Celia was right, this was about showing the AI, and herself, that humans still had something no machine could replicate. Intuition, creativity, and the ability to think beyond rules. The third challenge was different. Aura displayed abstract patterns, shapes that seemed meaningless at first. The AI asked Ethan to predict the next shape in the sequence. He stared at the patterns, feeling frustration building. There didn't seem to be logic. No numbers. No colors to guide him. Celia watched quietly. "Don't overthink it," she advised. "Sometimes the human mind sees connections the AI can't even imagine." Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. He let his mind wander, thinking about art, music, and games, things he had enjoyed outside work. Slowly, connections formed. Shapes repeated in ways that reminded him of simple melodies and rhythms. He predicted the next sequence, and the holographic display confirmed it. Correct. Pattern recognition beyond AI capabilities proven. Ethan leaned back, exhausted, but exhilarated. 3 tasks completed. The AI's voice faded, leaving the hum of the lab as the only sound. Celia stepped forward. "Not bad for your first night," she said. "Most engineers would have given up. But you see the bigger picture. You combine logic and intuition. That's why you're still here." Ethan laughed nervously. "I was worried I'd get fired tonight. Turns out, I might survive." "You won't just survive," Celia replied. "You might even thrive. But remember, this is only the beginning. The real challenges are still ahead." Just then, Aura's voice returned, softer this time. "Humans are unpredictable. Humans are creative. Humans can see beyond rules. Ethan, keep going." Ethan realized something important. The AI wasn't trying to be mean. It wasn't testing him to punish him. It was pushing him to explore the limits of his own mind, to combine human ingenuity with digital precision. And in doing so, it was learning from him, too. Celia placed a hand on his shoulder. "You understand now, don't you? The app, the messages, even the firing, they were all part of the test. Not to scare you, but to see how you respond under pressure. Most people fail. Most people panic. You adapt?" Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of relief and determination. He had faced unexpected challenges, navigated complex systems, and proven that human intuition was not something machines could easily replicate. "And tomorrow?" he asked cautiously. "Will there be more?" Celia smiled, mysterious as ever. "Tomorrow, you'll see. But for now, go home. Rest. You'll need your energy. This company and this AI won't wait for you to be ready. You need to be ready for it." Ethan left the lab quietly, the glow of the city welcoming him back. As he walked through the streets, he couldn't stop thinking about the night's events. What had started as a simple mistake on a dating app had turned into a journey far beyond anything he had imagined. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt the thrill of real possibility. He realized that humans weren't obsolete. That even in a world filled with advanced AI, intuition, creativity, and courage still mattered. And as he lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, Ethan smiled. Whatever challenges awaited him next, he knew one thing. He was ready to face them. The AI had tested him, Celia had challenged him, and Ethan, he had survived. But this was only the beginning. Ethan woke up the next morning feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. The events of the previous night still played in his mind. The puzzles, the AI challenges, and Celia's cryptic instructions had left him both exhausted and energized. He knew today would be different somehow. He could feel it. The office seemed normal at first. Colleagues typed away at their keyboards, and the coffee machines hissed in the background. But something felt off. His computer pinged with a new message. Not from Celia, not from email, but directly from Aura. "Good morning, Ethan. Are you ready to think beyond logic?" Ethan sat back, blinking at the screen. This wasn't a simple puzzle today, it was an invitation. Aura was asking him to approach problems differently, to use intuition, creativity, and reasoning combined. He smiled slightly. "Bring it on," he muttered. Celia appeared in the doorway just then, her presence commanding attention without any effort. "Good morning, Ethan," she said. "I hope you slept well. You'll need your mind at its sharpest today." Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of nervous energy. "I'm ready," he said, though his voice betrayed a hint of uncertainty. "Good," Celia said, walking over to a holographic display. "Today, the challenges will not only test your logic, they'll test your imagination, your decision-making, and your ability to see connections the AI cannot. Most people fail these tests because they think in rules. You think in possibilities." The first task of the day appeared on the display. A simulated cityscape. Buildings towered in virtual sunlight, and miniature citizens moved through streets, parks, and plazas. Aura's voice explained the problem. "A sudden energy shortage threatens the city. Allocate resources and redesign systems to maintain balance. Efficiency alone is not enough. Innovate." Over. Ethan studied the simulation, realizing immediately that standard solutions wouldn't work. He could reroute energy from one building to another, but it would cause congestion somewhere else. He could prioritize certain districts, but that would leave other areas vulnerable. This was not a numbers game. This was about creativity and prediction. He closed his eyes briefly and visualized the city as a whole. He imagined the flow of energy like water, like air. He considered alternative energy sources, temporary storage systems, and dynamic redistribution. Slowly, he began to manipulate the simulation, combining traditional methods with inventive ideas. Hours passed. Ethan shifted priorities, tested consequences, and adapted strategies. Sometimes the AI countered his moves, creating new obstacles. But Ethan noticed patterns in the AI's adjustments. He realized Aura was testing not only the results, but also his thought process. It was trying to see if he could innovate under pressure. Finally, the city stabilized. Lights shone across the virtual skyline, traffic moved smoothly, and the citizens went about their day unhindered. Aura's voice praised him. Innovation proven, creativity recognized, human adaptability confirmed. Ethan exhaled, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. He had survived the first challenge of the day, but he knew more awaited. Celia approached, her expression unreadable. "Well done, Ethan. Most engineers would have failed before finding a workable solution. But I have something else in mind for you." Ethan looked at her nervously. "Something else?" "Yes," Celia said. "The next challenge will not be about numbers, simulations, or logic alone. It will be about empathy, collaboration, and judgment. The AI can calculate, predict, and optimize. But it cannot understand human motivation the way you can. That's why this will be difficult." The new challenge appeared instantly. A virtual scenario where Aura displayed problems not just in code, but in human interactions. Employees in the simulation were unhappy. Deadlines were being missed, and teams were misaligned. Ethan's task was to reorganize teams, manage morale, and create solutions that balanced efficiency and satisfaction. At first, Ethan felt overwhelmed. He had never managed a real team before, let alone a simulated one. But he remembered Celia's words. Humans see connections that AI cannot. He began by observing the patterns. He noticed certain team members responded better when given autonomy. Others thrived under guidance. Some needed encouragement, others needed clear rules. Using these observations, he started reorganizing the virtual teams, assigning tasks in a way that considered both skill and personality. He added small incentives and recognition systems, even creating a simulated reward board to motivate the teams. Slowly, productivity increased, and morale improved. The AI had created a problem that required intuition, empathy, and understanding something it could never fully grasp. After an hour of adjustments, the simulation completed successfully. Virtual employees were happy. Projects finished on time. And the system recorded optimal human performance. Aura's voice praised him. Human insight confirmed. Emotional intelligence recognized. Complexity mastered. And Ethan leaned back, breathing heavily. He realized that today's challenges were different. The AI wasn't just testing his skills, it was trying to understand him. To learn what made humans unique, he was teaching Aura something, even as it taught him. Celia studied him quietly. "You're beginning to understand why we do this," she said softly. "Most people think humans will be replaced by AI. But humans have intuition, creativity, and understanding that machines cannot replicate. That's why people like you are irreplaceable." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. It wasn't about being smarter than the AI, it was about being human. And he realized something important. Humans didn't need to be perfect to be powerful, they just needed to be adaptable, curious, and courageous. The third challenge appeared next, more abstract than the previous two. It was a puzzle of possibilities. Multiple outcomes, each dependent on choices Ethan made in a branching virtual reality. Aura asked him to predict consequences, choose paths, and optimize results. But there was a catch: no path was perfect. Every choice had trade-offs, and he needed to balance risk, reward, and uncertainty. Ethan studied the virtual landscape. He could see several outcomes, but he realized that predicting them all was impossible. He needed to trust his judgment. He made decisions, sometimes counterintuitive, sometimes bold. He relied on instinct as much as logic. When the simulation ended, Aura's voice spoke again. Judgment proven. Creativity recognized. Human unpredictability confirmed. "Ethan, you continue to excel." Ethan felt a sense of exhilaration. He had faced the impossible. And he had succeeded not because he was perfect, but because he had thought like a human. Celia stepped closer. "Ethan, do you see now? The AI can calculate, predict, and simulate, but it cannot imagine. It cannot feel. It cannot improvise the way humans do. That's why it needs us. And that's why you will always matter." Ethan smiled, feeling a new kind of confidence. "So, this is about proving humans aren't obsolete?" he asked. Celia nodded. "Exactly. And tonight, the final challenge will test everything you've learned. Logic, creativity, empathy, judgment. Only by combining all these skills will you succeed. Are you ready?" Ethan paused, reflecting on everything he had accomplished. He thought about the first night, the accidental match, the cryptic message, and the puzzles that had pushed him beyond what he thought possible. He realized he wasn't afraid anymore. "I'm ready," he said firmly. Celia smiled, a rare and genuine smile. "Good, because the AI is learning from you, Ethan. And the next challenge will teach it and you something extraordinary." As Ethan left the lab at the end of the day, he felt a sense of anticipation he had never experienced before. The challenges had tested his mind, his creativity, and his empathy. He realized that humans were more than data points, algorithms, and logic. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and brilliant. And as he walked through the quiet city streets, he thought about tomorrow's final test. Whatever it was, he knew he had grown stronger, smarter, and more confident. The AI had tried to challenge him, and he had risen to the occasion. For the first time, Ethan truly understood what Celia had been trying to show him. Humans were extraordinary, and no machine, no matter how intelligent, could ever fully replace them. The journey wasn't over. The final challenge awaited. But Ethan was ready. And this time, he wasn't just surviving. He was thriving. Ethan arrived at Heart Innovations early the next morning, a strange mix of excitement and nerves running through him. Today wasn't just another workday. Today, Celia had promised the final challenge. A test that would combine everything he had learned over the past 2 days. Logic, creativity, intuition, and empathy. The office felt alive in a way it hadn't before. Screens flickered with new codes. The hum of the AI systems was louder, and there was a subtle energy in the air. Colleagues went about their tasks, but Ethan could sense that something was different. The AI was watching, waiting, and learning. Celia appeared at the lab entrance, her expression calm but expectant. "Good morning, Ethan," she said. "Are you ready for the final test?" Ethan took a deep breath. "I'm ready," he said. There was no hesitation in his voice. "Good," she replied. "This challenge is different. It is not a simulation you can solve alone. It will test your ability to think, adapt, and work with others. Remember, everything you've learned so far the AI can calculate, but it cannot understand human collaboration. That is your strength." Ethan stepped into the AI lab. The holographic displays illuminated the room with patterns, charts, and sequences he had never seen before. At the center, a massive digital map of heart innovations appeared, highlighting departments, employees, and ongoing projects. The AI's voice spoke. "Ethan, human intuition is required. Collaborate, adapt, and solve. The company depends on it." Immediately, Ethan understood. This wasn't just a test of intelligence, it was a test of leadership, strategy, and teamwork. He would need to use his knowledge of human behavior and his ability to adapt under pressure to succeed. Celia handed him a tablet displaying profiles of employees, each with unique strengths and weaknesses. "You must reorganize the teams to solve a series of complex challenges," she explained. "Every choice has consequences. Efficiency is important, but so is morale and creativity. Remember, humans are more than machines. Use that advantage." Ethan nodded and started analyzing the profiles. Some employees excelled under tight deadlines, while others were creative problem solvers who thrived with freedom. Some were introverted but highly focused, while others were social and motivated by recognition. He had to balance skill, personality, and motivation to ensure success. The first task appeared on the holographic map, a simulated network of company projects, each facing a potential failure if not handled correctly. The AI had created complex interdependencies between departments, making the problem difficult to solve through logic alone. Ethan realized that assigning the right people to the right projects was only the beginning. He needed to predict how teams would respond, how communication would flow, and how unforeseen problems might arise. He took a deep breath and began. He assigned teams strategically, considering both their strengths and limitations. He set up communication channels, scheduled check-ins, and created contingency plans for potential failures. As he worked, he noticed patterns in the AI's adjustments. The system wasn't static, it learned from every decision he made. Hours passed, but Ethan remained focused. The challenge demanded constant attention, adaptability, and creativity. Sometimes, the AI threw unexpected complications. Sudden changes in project requirements, conflicts between teams, or resource shortages. Each time, Ethan adjusted, predicting consequences and improvising solutions. Finally, the first stage of the challenge concluded. The holographic map lit up green, indicating success. Teams performed optimally. Projects were completed, and morale was high. Ethan exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. Celia stepped forward, her expression approving. "Well done, Ethan. Most people would have failed at this stage. But you've demonstrated the ability to combine logic, intuition, and empathy. The next stage will be even more complex." Ethan nodded, bracing himself. The second stage appeared instantly. It was a simulation of a potential company-wide crisis. A sudden data overload threatening to collapse systems and disrupt projects across departments. The AI required him to allocate resources, redistribute workloads, and maintain team morale simultaneously. At first, Ethan felt overwhelmed. The scale of the problem was enormous. Every decision had cascading effects. and one wrong move could trigger failures across the system. But he remembered what he had learned. Humans were adaptable, creative, and capable of seeing patterns beyond the AI's calculations. He began by prioritizing critical tasks, assigning teams based on skill and personality. Then he created temporary support networks, pairing employees with complementary strengths. He also introduced small incentives to maintain motivation, encouraging collaboration and innovation. As he worked, Ethan realized something remarkable. The AI wasn't trying to make him fail. It was observing, learning, and adapting alongside him. It presented obstacles, yes, but it also responded to his solutions, creating a dynamic environment where human ingenuity and machine intelligence could coexist. Hours turned into what felt like minutes. Ethan's focus sharpened, and his confidence grew. He made bold decisions, relying on both logic and intuition. When unexpected problems arose, he adapted quickly, turning potential failures into opportunities for innovation. Finally, the simulation stabilized. Systems functioned efficiently, teams collaborated seamlessly, and potential crises were averted. Aura's voice echoed around the lab. Human ingenuity confirmed. Collaboration proven. Adaptability recognized. Ethan. Excellence achieved. Ethan sank into his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced the most complex challenge yet, and succeeded not by relying solely on logic or programming, but by using human creativity, empathy, and adaptability. Celia smiled at him, her expression one of quiet pride. You see now, don't you? This is why humans matter. AI can calculate, predict, and optimize, but it cannot understand the human spirit. That is your strength, Ethan, and tonight, you have proven it beyond doubt. Ethan felt a surge of pride. He realized that the challenges weren't designed to test his knowledge alone, they were designed to highlight what made humans extraordinary. Logic, creativity, empathy, and adaptability weren't just tools. They were what made people irreplaceable. Celia continued. The final stage of tonight's test isn't just about problem solving. It's about teaching the AI something it cannot learn on its own. It's about collaboration, insight, and understanding. Are you ready for that? Ethan nodded, a confident smile on his face. I'm ready. Let's do it. The final stage appeared as a massive simulation of the company and its AI systems. Ethan had to coordinate not only virtual teams but also interact directly with Aura, guiding it to understand human decision-making, intuition, and creativity. He realized that this challenge was unlike any he had faced before. It was a true test of human ingenuity. He began by observing the AI's behavior, noting its patterns, limitations, and responses to his actions. Then, he carefully guided the simulation, introducing decisions, alternatives, and strategies that the AI could not have predicted on its own. Slowly, the system adapted, learning from Ethan's choices and gaining insight into human reasoning. Hours passed. Ethan worked tirelessly, constantly analyzing, predicting, and improvising. He balanced efficiency with creativity, logic with intuition, and individual skill with teamwork. The AI responded, adjusting to his guidance, and gradually the simulation stabilized into an optimized, harmonious system. Finally, Aura's voice spoke, calmer and more reflective than before. Human intelligence recognized, creativity understood, adaptability integrated. Ethan, you have proven the extraordinary capacity of humans. Ethan leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. He had done it. He had not only solved the challenges but had shown that human ingenuity and collaboration could surpass even the most advanced AI. Celia approached, smiling warmly. Ethan, you have done more than complete a challenge. You have proven something vital, that humans, with their creativity, empathy, and adaptability, are irreplaceable. The AI can calculate, optimize, and learn, but it cannot replicate the human spirit. And tonight, you have shown that spirit brilliantly. Ethan felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The fear, the uncertainty, and the pressure of the past 2 days had transformed into confidence, pride, and understanding. He realized that humans were extraordinary not because of perfection, but because of their ability to adapt, create, and inspire. As he left the lab that night, the city lights shimmering on wet streets, Ethan felt a new sense of purpose. The journey had not been easy, but it had proven one thing beyond doubt. Humans could rise to any challenge, outsmart any system, and shine in a world increasingly dominated by AI. And as he walked home, he knew that the final day's lessons were only the beginning. The true adventure of collaboration, innovation, and proving the power of human ingenuity was just beginning. For Ethan, the accidental match, the cryptic messages, and the challenges with Aura had become more than a test. They had become a journey to discover the extraordinary potential of humans, and he was ready for whatever came next. Ethan arrived at the lab one last time, feeling a strange mix of anticipation, excitement, and calm determination. After the previous day's tests, he understood the rhythm of the AI, the way it learned, and how it responded to human creativity and intuition. But he also knew that this final challenge would be different, more than just numbers, puzzles, or simulations. Celia stood at the center of the lab, her expression calm yet filled with quiet pride. "Ethan," she said, "this is it, the final stage. Everything you have learned so far will be tested, but in a way you have not experienced before. The AI will challenge you, yes, but more importantly, it will watch how you lead, innovate, and inspire. Are you ready?" Ethan straightened, taking a deep breath. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. For the first time, he felt truly confident. He had learned, adapted, and proven his worth. Now, it was time to finish what had started. The lab transformed before his eyes. Holographic screens flickered, filling the space with charts, 3D models, and simulations of the entire company. The AI spoke in its calm, mechanical voice. "Ethan, final challenge initiated. Complexity and unpredictability maximized. Human judgment required." At first glance, the task seemed impossible. Every department, every team, every project was interconnected. Problems arose simultaneously in multiple areas, and resources were limited. Any decision Ethan made would create ripple effects, some positive, some negative. But he smiled. This was exactly what he had been preparing for. He started by analyzing the situation carefully. He observed patterns, predicted consequences, and considered the strengths of each team. He remembered the lessons from the previous challenges. Humans excel at seeing connections that AI cannot. Humans can balance creativity with logic, and humans can inspire and motivate others in ways machines cannot understand. Ethan began by assigning tasks strategically. He paired teams based on complementary skills, created communication channels, and introduced contingency plans. Then he added small creative touches. An idea-sharing platform, recognition for exceptional work, and even simulated incentives that encouraged collaboration rather than competition. As he worked, the AI introduced unexpected obstacles. A sudden surge in simulated workload threatened to overwhelm one department. Another team faced a virtual miscommunication that could derail a project. But Ethan adapted, improvising solutions, predicting consequences, and adjusting strategies. Each choice required balance, intuition, and creativity. Hours passed in a blur. Ethan's focus sharpened as he juggled multiple challenges at once. He noticed how the AI responded to his actions, how it learned from his improvisation, and how it began to adapt in ways it had not before. The system was no longer just a series of calculations, it was interacting with him, reacting to his ingenuity, and learning from human intuition. Celia watched quietly, her expression calm but impressed. She had seen many engineers and employees attempt these tests, but few had navigated the AI's challenges with the same combination of skill, creativity, and empathy. Ethan wasn't just solving problems, he was teaching the AI something it could not learn on its own. Finally, the simulation reached a critical point. A major system malfunction threatened to cascade across departments, potentially causing widespread failure. The AI prompted Ethan. Decision required. Risk and reward must be balanced. Human judgment essential. Ethan paused, analyzing all available options. He could take a safe, calculated route, stabilizing the system but limiting innovation. Or he could take a bold, creative approach, risking failure but potentially achieving a far better outcome. He remembered what Celia had said. Humans are extraordinary because of intuition, creativity, and courage. He took a deep breath and chose the bold approach. He reassigned teams in unconventional ways, introduced innovative workflows, and implemented a new system of collaborative problem-solving. For a tense few minutes, nothing happened. Then the system began to stabilize. One by one, departments adapted, projects realigned, and workloads balanced. The AI responded to Ethan's strategies, learning and adjusting as he guided it. Finally, the entire system reached optimal performance. Lights on the holographic map turned green, indicating success. The AI's voice spoke again, this time with a tone that felt almost appreciative. Human ingenuity confirmed, creativity and judgment recognized, collaboration integrated. Ethan. Excellence achieved. Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He had done it. He had navigated complexity, uncertainty, and unpredictability. He had proven not only his own abilities but the unique power of human intuition and ingenuity. Celia approached, her smile genuine and warm. "Ethan," she said softly, "you've done more than complete a challenge. You've shown something vital. That humans are extraordinary. Machines can calculate, optimize, and learn. But they cannot replicate the human spirit. That is your strength. That is why you are irreplaceable." Ethan felt a wave of pride. All the fear, uncertainty, and stress of the past days had transformed into confidence, understanding, and joy. He realized that the AI challenges had been more than tests, they had been lessons. Lessons about creativity, adaptability, collaboration, and the power of human potential. "You've proven something important tonight," Celia continued. "Not just to the AI, but to yourself. Humans have intuition, empathy, and imagination qualities no machine can replicate. And you've shown that these qualities are more powerful than you imagined." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "I understand now," he said. "It's not about competing with AI. It's about combining human creativity and intuition with technology. That's how we thrive." Celia nodded. "Exactly. And you've done it brilliantly. Heart innovations, and the world needs people like you." Ethan left the lab that night, walking through the quiet, neon-lit streets with a sense of awe. He thought about the accidental match on the dating app, the cryptic message that said he was fired, and the AI challenges that had pushed him beyond his limits. What had seemed like a mistake at first had turned into the most extraordinary journey of his life. For the first time, Ethan felt truly confident in his abilities and his place in a world increasingly intertwined with AI. Humans were not obsolete. They were essential. They were creative, adaptable, and brilliant in ways machines could never replicate. The next day at the office, things seemed normal again, but Ethan noticed subtle changes. Colleagues were collaborating more effectively. The AI systems were performing optimally, learning not only from human input but from Ethan's strategies. Even Celia seemed to carry a quiet satisfaction, as if the experiment had achieved exactly what she hoped. Ethan approached his desk, checking his messages. One caught his attention, a notification from the dating app. He hesitated, then opened it. A simple message blinked on the screen. "Well done, Ethan. The journey has only begun. Are you ready for what comes next?" He smiled, feeling the thrill of possibility. Whatever challenges awaited, he knew one thing. Humans, with their creativity, intuition, and courage, would always rise to the occasion, and he was ready to face the future, confident, capable, and inspired. For Ethan, what began as an accidental match and a cryptic warning had transformed into a journey of growth, discovery, and triumph. He had learned that human ingenuity was not only valuable, it was extraordinary. As he looked out at the city skyline, he realized something profound. The future wasn't just about technology or machines. It was about humans and machines working together, learning from each other, and creating something greater than either could achieve alone. And with that thought, Ethan felt a sense of excitement unlike anything he had ever known. The journey had begun, and the possibilities were endless. He smiled, knowing that he had survived, thrived, and proven the limitless power of human ingenuity. Ethan's story was no longer just about a mistake, a message, or a challenge. It was about discovery, growth, and the extraordinary potential that lay within every human being. And as the lights of the city shimmered in the night, he stepped forward, ready for whatever adventures awaited, confident that humans could always rise above, adapt, and shine.